purpose of the commission is to decide applications for certificates. How's that?
It's still flashing. You need to hit the button again.
Got it.
Now tap it, just lightly. No, the test. There you go.
All right. The purpose of the commission is to decide applications for certificates of appropriateness for new construction or major work within the Pinehurst Historic District. To do so by conducting hearings and making findings of fact when such applications come before us. By law, the commission is directed to take no action except to prevent construction or alterations that would be incongruous with the special character of the historic district. I'm Eric Von Salzen, the chair of the commission, and I'm going to ask each commissioner, starting from my far left, to state his or her name for the record.
David Herring.
Richard Vincent.
Thomas Schroeder.
Ann Lucy.
Barry Lurch.
We are short one member, but we have a quorum, so we will proceed. Also present are Peter Hughes, Senior Planner, and Kelly Brown, Planning and Administrative Assistant. Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of our last meeting. All commissioners have been provided with copies of the draft minutes. Does any commissioner have any changes to suggest?
Move to accept. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed and the minutes are approved. May I now have a motion to enter the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now in the public hearing. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. That means that anyone desiring to testify must be sworn in, and the commission is required to consider only facts presented in this hearing. The proceedings are video recorded. I ask commissioners if they have visited any of the sites on our docket today and whether they have had any ex parte communications with respect to any of the cases we'll be considering today, starting with Commissioner Herring.
Visited all, no communication.
Visited all the sites, no ex parte communication.
I visited all the sites, no ex parte communication.
I visited all the sites and had no ex parte communications.
I visited all the sites, no ex parte communication or conflict of interest.
I also visited all the sites with no ex parte communication.
Each case that the commission will hear this afternoon, Mr. Hughes will first present a summary of the application, the staff's evaluation of the extent to which the application complies with the commission's standards for such an application or raises issues that require further information, the staff's comments on the application, and where appropriate, the staff's recommendations for commission action. The application and its supporting documents, as well as the staff's detailed report, will then be entered into the record. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question Mr. Hughes about his report and testimony. Next, the applicant or the applicant's representatives will have an opportunity to provide any additional information supporting the application and to address any questions or issues identified in Mr. Hughes' testimony. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question the applicant witnesses. After the applicant's presentation, if any member of the public is here to present any evidence, either in support of or in opposition to the application, please come forward at that time and identify yourself. I will swear you in and give you an opportunity to present any reasons why you believe the application should be granted or denied. Please remember, the commission is interested in facts that will help us decide whether the proposed work would be congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District. As chair, I have the right to exclude testimony that isn't relevant to that subject, but I'm not required to do so. Commissioners will then have an opportunity to question you about your testimony. If the applicant or Mr. Hughes wishes to respond to your testimony, I will permit them to do so. We will now proceed to our first case. Mr. Hughes, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to all the cases on our docket today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Can you invite the applicants up to the podium so that they can be ready to be presented and sworn in as well?
Sure.
Mr. Heiler? Those chairs right there, sir.
While you're standing, I might as well swear you in. Mr. Heiler? Do you swear that the testimony you will give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please be seated.
This public hearing is to consider a request within the Pinehurst Historic District of an exterior modification at 11 Village Lane. The applicant is proposing to replace a portion of an existing asphalt shingle roof with metal roofing. The subject property can be further identified by Moore County PIN number 855-208-878-559. The property owners of the record are Nancy and Jim Heiler, and the applicant is Chris Cleveland of Sand Hills Building Systems. This is a front elevation of 11 Village Lane. There's a background story on this property. The reason why this application is before us is because there was some work being done without a COA. So in later parts of the report, you're going to see metal roofing already existing, and we're kind of doing a retroactive piece for that. But we're also looking at the front door where they're changing the detail of that as well. 11 Village Lane was constructed in 2001 and is not considered a contributing structure, and it is not listed within the Historic Landmark Survey. In 2018, they had a driveway replacement and removal of trees. The adjacent properties, none of the adjacent properties are considered contributing structures according to the National Historic Survey. This is the notification map for 11 Village Lane. In total, 6 properties were notified, 7 including the property owners themselves. This request is before the commission because the applicant is proposing to replace the front door with a door that does not match existing and replace a section of existing asphalt shingle roof with metal roofing at 11 Village Lane. According to the Historic District Guidelines, a major COA is required when a replacement door does not match the style, material, size, and color of the existing. According to the Historic District Guidelines, a major COA is required when replacement roofing with a different material or style from that being replaced. These are the documents that were submitted by the applicant. This is their site plan. In the green area that is, in the green marker there is the area that was affected by the roofing. This was the original roofing that was there. It was deteriorating and was in a stage that it needed to be repaired to fix some leaking issues. The applicant submitted some additional photos documenting the deterioration of the roof. And this is what it looks today at the completion of the project. This is what they submitted as soon as they could to me, by the way. As soon as I went to approach them about this, they got an application within a few days to me, complete with all the documents necessary. So they were very proactive in getting back on track. They also submitted elevations of the other sides of the house to show the architecture of the whole structure as itself. They submitted a lot of photos of their roofing. Here's the current existing front door. It's a black front door, and they're proposing to change it into a brown front door with plain glasses that are similar to the windows on the structure itself. The type of metal roofing that they're using is a nail strip metal roofing that meets a profile that is consistent with our Historic District Guidelines. The matte black color is not specifically mentioned, but they do ask for the color to be muted for metal roofing, so this is compliant as well. And then the applicant has submitted multiple images of properties within the Historic District that exhibit metal roofing to show that they are consistent and congruous with the Historic District itself. So 25 Barrett Road here has a front porch that has metal roofing. We have metal roofing accents over a bay window. We have more metal roofing at the Persimmon Cottage. This is metal roofing at 225 Magnolia Road. And we have metal roofing at the Holly Tree condos, 115 Shinkopen, and then the spa at Pinehurst has metal roofing as well. Those were all the 35 McLean Road also has metal roofing, which is a church that is now a single-family residence. Those were all the materials that were submitted with addresses. They included multiple other photos of residents with metal roofing within the Historic District. Here we have metal roofing in the downtown part of the historic district. We have metal roofing on a front porch on the Village Green residence on the right photo there. Here is another Village Green property. This is the Bank of America building that has metal roofing, and we have metal roofing here on the right. I'm not sure what this address is. And then this is showing examples of similar door styles within the historic district. You can see that they have 9-pane doors here, which is similar to what's been proposed. The proposed material list is shown on the screen. They're not changing most of the roof or any of the exterior siding. What they are doing is they're changing from asphalt shingles to standing seam metal roof and a wood panel door to a composite wood fiberglass door that'll be painted black. At this time, staff would like to submit the following into the record: staff report, presentation, application, applicant's materials, photos, site plans, and findings of fact.
Without objection, the materials referred to by Mr. Hughes are admitted into the record. Do the commissioners have any questions of Mr. Hughes?
I just have a question. Peter, how is it that you came to learn about the change? I'm just curious.
There was a anonymous complaint that was called in. Someone said, hey, nobody has a permit up saying that they can do this work. So I went on site, knocked on the door. The homeowners weren't at home at that time, but I came back the next day and we had a great conversation, found out the homeowner was a Hokie, and they started the process to go through the application process. They didn't know that this was required. They're new to the area, so they went through it, and there was some miscommunication maybe at the beginning, but we're good there.
Questions for Mr. Hughes? Mr. Heiler, what would you like to say in support of your application?
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, thank you. This was an accident. We bought the house in late September. We had an inspection done. We had rotten wood over the front door, and we got in there, and the deterioration was much wider and broader than we thought. To try to replace the shingles, it would have never matched, and we probably would have had to replace the entire roof, and obviously we didn't want to have to do that. So we came up with the idea of metal. Mr. Cleveland, our contractor, worked through this with us. We inquired of him, do we need to do anything with the village? He said, no, I don't think so. And we really had a miscommunication with him, and he also with the village. So it was a very innocent mistake. We were not trying to circumvent the process at all, and we apologize for that. And I come to beg forgiveness and hope that you will approve this. As far as the door is concerned, the door that we would like to install is a much more substantial door. This is not the door that's there is not a very substantial door. And also have glass to let light into the house. It's very dark in the house, and we think this would really improve the interior. The cul-de-sac that we live on, Village Lane, every house in the cul-de-sac has glass doors or either glass panel beside the door. This is the only solid door or entranceway of all 11 houses in the cul-de-sac. So we think that what we're proposing to do is in keeping with what's in the area. So we would respectfully ask that you approve that as well.
Any questions of the applicant?
I have none.
You've already answered the one question that I was going to ask you, which is how this happened to get done before coming to us, and you've explained that, and that's perfectly easily understood.
And Mr. Cleveland knows now too, right? Yeah.
So yes, we know, and I know, and so we got it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think there are at least two people who will never make that mistake again. All right, is there anyone else here who wishes to speak on this application? Hearing none. No more questions from the commissioners. Are we ready then to deliberate?
And do that. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission find the proposed major work at 11 Village Lane congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District and consistent with historic district guidelines
based on the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact.
It has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, is it consistent with the guidelines? I mean, I think we've gone through this before, right? That we enumerate whether something's consistent or not with the standards or guidelines, whatever we're calling them. And then it can be congruous, but, am I wrong?
And in what respect might it not be consistent?
Well, it's different material from that existing, right? And the door's different from that existing. And I noticed in Peter's recommendation for 190 Midland, he's got something to that effect about not being compliant. So if we're just going to be consistent, that's all I'm asking is,
Consistent with the guidelines, I don't know anything that's being proposed that's inconsistent with the guidelines.
well, then I don't understand the difference. Maybe I should address it to Peter, why 190 Midland recommendation is,
For 190 Midland, it's a little off topic, but 190 Midland's phrasing is that way because the architecture, they're replacing the whole roof. So that's why we went with the second motion, because you're talking about replacing shake shingles with asphalt shingles. It's kind of like, if you guys remember the the German lap siding argument from weeks back. It was such an iconic to that structure, whereas here we're going from asphalt shingles to metal roofing. Metal roofing's allowed, metal roofing on front porches is consistent with everything. So that's why there's a difference in those two.
I guess I don't see the difference myself. I mean, the repair standard says it should be in kind or like kind. So,
And it says should, which
well, doesn't the
it's
other
not a
one,
must.
the other one is a should too, right? So I'm looking for consistency, that's all, in what we're doing.
Your staff comments say, however, the matte black finish is not compliant with the recommendations of dark silver or dark gray coloring.
That is correct.
And we saw a lot of other things that the gentleman prepared that is consistent with throughout the district. There's any number of cases that he pointed out where there is metal roofing as well as asphalt roofing on the same house.
Well, no,
That's what
it's-
we've got here.
It's congruous with everything, but it's
No,
not
it's
consistent.
consistent.
It's not consistent with the guideline, though.
Yes, it is.
Well, the color,
Well, that's your opinion. We can move on, I think.
Well,
my feeling, and it's a technicality, we're still going to vote to approve,
right.
but matte black finish is not compliant with the recommendations of color in our guidelines. So I would, we have a motion in the first form. I've expressed my opinion, Ann's expressed hers. Does anybody else have an opinion, David?
In terms of opinion, I agree that it's not consistent, but congruous. I believe the second motion is more appropriate. No difference to the end result.
All right. Well, all right, we have a motion.
Deal with it.
All right, okay. So we have a motion. It's in the first form. Let's just poll the commission, starting with David. Aye or nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay?
Nay.
Yes.
Fails? Would someone like to make another motion?
Okay, I'll make one. I move the Historic Preservation Commission find the proposed major work at 11 Village Lane is congruous with the Pinehurst Historical District, but not consistent with the historical district guidelines based upon the color of the matte black color, okay? Based on the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact.
Your second.
Second.
Your discussion.
Might we also include the other characteristics which are not in exact compliance with the standards?
What other inconsistencies?
Ones that Ann enumerated, such as the.
Well, that it's a
replacement.
different material. I
Right.
mean, the guideline says, right, that replacement or repair should be done with the same material.
That's not,
I mean, the bottom line's the same. I mean, it's going to be an approval. It's just, I'm just trying to put in sort of a discipline to what we're doing here as to what fits with the guidelines, yet why we're saying it's congruous, so.
my understanding of the guidelines is that if you have a replacement in kind, that automatically satisfies our requirements.
Doesn't have to come here.
You replace with a different material, if it's allowed by our guidelines, then it's allowed by
Oh.
the guidelines.
I guess I would beg to differ on the allowed by versus a should versus a must. It seems to me that whatever we put in the record in terms of our motion is a message to future applicants. And being as close to the intent of the guidelines, the better.
I agree with that, but I don't believe we have identified a violation of the guidelines except with respect to the material, or not the material, the color.
Like Matt Color.
That's the only thing that's called out in the staff comments, and I don't think I've seen anything else that's inconsistent with our standards.
I think it's a recommendation, but it's not a must. So, if the metal roof is consistent with the guidelines we pulled out elsewhere, if it wasn't a like-for-like repair, we would be fine. So, I don't know.
The fact that it's metal roof is consistent with the guidelines. It's not inconsistent with the guidelines. It's not the same, but it doesn't say it has to be the same. It has to be consistent with the guidelines.
Doesn't
and
the
metal
guideline
roofs
itself-
are consistent with the guidelines.
A metal roof, but the guideline says that it has to be an in-kind material, doesn't it? Peter, am I mistaken?
Should.
Says
I mean, we're back
should.
to the
Or
same-
should, yeah, but, so,
It's a recommendation.
But
It's
what's-
not a requirement.
and what is the matte black, or matte black roof?
It's
then?
also a should.
Okay, so what's the difference on it?
You got me on that one.
Sorry to catch you in our little legal tussle here, but it just seems to me we should enumerate where it deviated from the standard, and then,
I'll withdraw.
Well, let's vote on it quickly.
Okay.
We have to do it that way.
Yep, that's probably the cleanest way. I agree.
All right. Proceed to a vote, poll the commission, starting with Mr. Herring.
I'd have to say yes.
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 yes to the matte, just the matte black, you mean, being
Yep.
the, no.
Abstain.
Terry, you can't abstain, you gotta.
4 to 1 to 0 to 1. I'm not sure you're actually allowed to abstain, but let's pass that. The motion carries.
Do we have the second motion too for the approval, continue, or denial of the request?
I move the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed major work at 11 Village Lane.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Riley, you have your certificate of appropriateness.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Left.
How you guys? Good?
Thank you so much.
No, you have it on. I'll grab one just, thank you.
All right, our next case is certificate
For 190 Midland? Road. It's for 190 Midland Road.
90 Midland Road, COA 2020-00184. The applicants are at the table, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you each state your name?
John English.
English?
Kelly Bennett.
Sorry, what was your last name?
Bennett.
Bennett, okay. Would you each stand and raise your right hands? Swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this case to the commission, truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. This public hearing is to consider a request within the Pinehurst Historic District of an exterior modification at 190 Midland Road. The applicant is proposing to replace the existing cedar roof with a different roofing material. The subject property can be further identified by Moore County PIN number 856-210-372-437. The property owner of record is Zach Taylor, and the applicant is John English of Statewide Roofing. This is the front elevation photo of 190 Midland Road. As you can see, there are existing cedar shake shingles for the current roofing. 190 Midland Road was constructed in 1920. It is a large two-story gambreled roof with full facade shed dormer, which is on the second floor. In 2010, they were approved for a large pergola as a major COA, and in 2019, a rear yard pool was applied for but was never followed through on. This request is before the commission because the applicant is proposing to replace cedar shingles with asphalt shingle roof at 190 Midland Road. According to the Historic District guidelines, a major COA is required, replacing roofing with a different material or style. The applicant has submitted a material package, which includes a photo of the 190 Midland Road, a photo of roofing sample, a material brochure on the proposed asphalt shingle, and photos of other homes that exhibit asphalt shingles within the Historic District. The applicant is requesting to replace cedar roofing with asphalt roofing. The proposed asphalt shingles have a weathered wood finish, and the proposed property does have some screening provided by landscaping. However, the proposed change will be visible from the street/public view. Of the adjacent properties, 3 of the properties that were notified are considered contributing structures. One of them is 1 Carolina Vista, which is the golf course, and the other is 200 Midland Road. This is the notification map. I did not go to the full extent to show the full golf course, but to the south is the golf course. I believe that is number 4. Number 2, apologies. And then here is again the front elevation photo of 190 Midland Road. This was the applicant's brochure that they submitted for the material. It's a Glenwood shingle. I believe it has a 100-year warranty, meaning that it lasts for 100 years in usage. This is another photo showing the ridge lines there, showing that it does have some dimension to it. And there again, we have the weathered wood call out for what the material will look like as far as aesthetics. The applicant has submitted multiple photos of mainly adjacent properties with asphalt shingles. Here is 300 Midland Road, 275 Midland Road, 10 Midland Road, 285 Midland Road, 80 Midland Road with asphalt shingles, 70 Midland Road, 100 Midland Road, and 60 Midland Road. 220 Midland Road, 240 Midland Road, 115 Midland Road, 175 Midland Road, 150 Midland Road, 150 Midland Road again. And here's the proposed material list. We're going from a cedar shake to a GAF Glenwood shingle, which is an asphalt shingle, and it will be proposed to be weathered wood. At this time, staff would like to submit the following into the record: staff report, presentation, application, applicant's material, photos, site plans, and findings of fact.
Without objection, those materials are accepted into the record. Questions for Mr. Hughes?
Yes, I have one. You have 2 Exhibit Ds, one of them on the back of the other one. One of them looks like wood, or like a wood grain.
That is correct. There are 2 Exhibit Ds.
Oh, there's actually 3. The one after that is also an Exhibit D.
So the reason why that is labeled Exhibit D is because it's all part of the same brochure. So I just label it like I do the application
Okay,
on
I'm
every
not-
page.
And I'm not arguing that. My question is, does the material that's being put on there look more like, I can't even say the first one, but the one on the screen there? Does it look like that one or the one before it?
That might be a better question to ask of the applicants, because it looks like they have a shingle board with them to also pass around.
That would
So
even be better.
I would elect to let them answer that
May I bring
question.
this up, Corey?
Picture of that color too, the weather.
Hand it to one end or the other. Give it to him first.
I'm good. Yep.
This is the actual color.
Okay, that answers my question. Sorry, I wasn't
Alright.
trying to confuse things. I
That's
just
the
was.
cover of
Oh, no.
this. Right. I just want to be able to identify what you're showing us for the record.
This one is the color.
And, all right, this is Glenwood Authentic Wood Shake Look Shingles you can buy, gaf.com, and you're showing me the cover of the, okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Hughes?
I have none.
Right? Does the applicant have anything to add?
No, not really. Cedar shakes in this area, of course, years ago, everybody was using cedar shakes. But now, you can't guarantee wood. So now a lot of the houses are deteriorating. So, and cedar shakes has got so expensive now, it's out of the world to try to replace a roof with them. So that's why they went with this.
Any questions for the applicant?
Just curious, how old is that roof?
I'm guessing 30 years.
Okay. So you'll be good for another 100 years then, once this?
I hope so. If you have a problem in 100 years, give me a call.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be here.
I doubt it, very serious.
Maybe one or two of us.
Yeah.
A comment more than a question first. I think insofar as asphalt shingles go, I haven't seen a better fake yet. It's a really good choice. So we will be probably back to the should versus must issue. Thank you.
So on that, is this about the most superior light?
Yes. This is the most expensive likeness to a cedar shake that you can buy. I mean, it's
It's a
rated number
triple
one.
layer.
Good housekeeping seal. It's
Great
the-
product.
So you don't believe then there's a better product out there that looks more like wood?
No, sir.
All right, no further questions, discussion or motion from the?
I'll make a motion. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission find the proposed major work at 190 Middleton Road is not consistent with the historic guidelines. Nevertheless, is deemed congruous with Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact for the following reasons. Under A, roofs. Number 4, if replacement of an entire roof is necessary, the new material should match the existing material in composition, dimension, size, shape, color, pattern, and texture. Since it doesn't do that, although it's a really good fake, and there are plenty of other asphalt shingles, I find it to be congruous.
Second.
Any discussion? Ready for a vote? Again, we'll poll, starting with Mr. Herring.
Aye.
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 Passes?
Second.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission find the proposed major work of 190 Midland Road to be, whoops, sorry, next page.
Back of that page.
I move the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed major work of 190 Midland Road.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? See to a vote. All
Aye.
in favor, say, oh, go around poll.
Aye.
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 The motion passes. Both motions pass. You have your certificate of appropriateness.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you, Peter.
Carolina.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Too. Thank you very much.
If you guys want to come up.
Have we seen these guys before?
About once every 2
Yeah.
You'll see me next time, too.
Each stand and raise your right hand. Swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the commission with respect to the application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Would you each state your name for the record and spell your last name?
Calvin Berkeley, B-U-R-K-L-E-Y.
Don Tice, T-I-S-E.
Thank you.
The purpose of this public hearing is to consider requests within the Pinehurst Historic District for exterior modification at 1 Carolina Vista. The proposed exterior modification include the alteration of an entryway, addition of signage, and replacement of windows and doors with in-kind material. The property can be further identified in the Moore County Tax Registry by Moore County PIN number 856-213-032663. The property owner is Resorts of Pinehurst Incorporated, and the applicant is Calvin Berkeley of Pinehurst Resorts. This is the elevation photo of the side that's going to be modified. If you look here in the center, this is the 91st hole located approximately where the cursor is. 1 Carolina Vista is a contributing structure. The country club was constructed in 1922 and is dominated by a Mediterranean-style character. The majority of the adjacent properties are contributing structures as well. The background on this, I'm not going to read all the COAs they've been issued, but they've been issued multiple major and minor COAs. Most recently, they were issued a major COA for the construction of a pavilion on the Cradle Golf Course. The adjacent properties all range in their years built between 1900 and 1930. They all have their unique histories as well. This is the notification map for 1 Carolina Vista's requested date. In red is 1 Carolina Vista's property. Approximately where my cursor is where the property in question is and the adjustments are occurring. Everything else in yellow is what was notified. The applicant has submitted a material package which includes proposed elevations, proximity map, floor plan, and sign rendering. The applicant has stated that they will match the material of the existing building. The addition is located on the rear of the structure. The addition would not be visible from the street, or not highly visible from the street, but could be visible. The proposed addition would alter the architectural detail of the facade and the building, but it would not increase, the footprint increases, but the square footage of the building does not increase. This request is before the commission because the applicant is proposing to add exterior wall columns. They'll be attached to the exterior wall of the 91st hole. According to the Historic District Guidelines, a major COA is required when replacement of architectural details that changes the design or materials from the existing details. Once again, this is the elevation photo for 91st hole. This is the proximity map submitted by the applicants. And then this is the rendering that was submitted. As you can see here, we're doing 2 wall columns on both sides of the entryway. And then they're also doing a menu cutout as well, and they're adding a sign. The reason for the addition of the columns and the sign was to bring more notoriety to the entrance because they're having issues with people finding the 91st hole and accidentally walking into the St. Andrews room during private events. This is the floor plan that was submitted. As you can see, it does butt out from the structure, so it is a slight addition to the building, but like I said previously, it does not add square footage. It just adds building footprint to it. And then they have that built-in illuminated menu display that they're proposing in 1 column. These are staff photos taken, kind of showing what the current windows look like. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of change, but there is that difference in this sign there, and then they're creating that whole upper area for the sign to go, and then they'll be adding columns where my cursor is currently. This is the rendering / sign mock-up that they submitted, and it is compliant. The proposed material list is here. They're matching in-kind stucco and in-kind windows that are vinyl. At this time, staff would like to submit the following to the record: staff report, presentation, application, applicant's materials, photos, site plans, and findings of fact.
Without objection, the materials referred to by Mr. Hughes are admitted into the record. Do the commissioners have questions for Mr. Hughes?
I have a question.
Ma'am.
On the illuminated menu, what is the standard for that, Peter?
There is not a standard.
There's no standard.
It's kind of like interior signs for the whole club. As you walk around the club, there's a lot of signs that don't see public view, and it's really just for for the country club's use. So it's kind of that gray area, if you will.
By illuminated, is it in a, I'm just curious, is it like in a frame, box frame, or is it
No, it's
an
going to be
electronic?
a little more old school. It'll just be a light at the top that kind of grazes the front of the menu, so the menu can be changed out. It's not going to be very high-tech at all.
Okay.
Else,
Thank
the concept is interesting. You refer to them as columns. I never thought of them that way. The conduct was just to create some raised panel condition there, because right now, everyone's been there. As you get to the building, you kind of bump your way down the side of the building until you figure out which door to fall into to get to the 91st hole. And so the idea was to give a little bit of a raised panel with a little definition and kind of imagery, kind of old school pubish imagery, so that it would mean something to somebody instead of just being a raised panel. And then the owner wanted a menu there so people would understand that there are items in there other than beer and water. And that was about it. It's pretty simple. We tried to do it as low-key as we can, and then the color, we were just taking the existing siding color and taking it a couple clicks darker, so it's the same color, just a very subtle difference. We had looked at coloring it green and other things, but the owner just wanted to make it the same, just a little tint darker. So that was kind of the approach, pretty straightforward. We didn't feel like we had to reinvent what was already a nice building. We were just trying to make the entry a little bit easier to find.
Any other questions for Mr. Hughes? Would the applicants like to add anything further to what's already been said?
Well, by answering your question and then running on like I did, sorry about that. I think I pretty much hit the high spots. That's what generated it, was the need to create more of a sense of place right there so that you knew where to enter and you didn't feel like you had to peek in the door to make sure you're in the right place. And that was a generation. The idea was to do something that was subtle, but when you're within 10 feet of it, you can tell the difference. You know, only from 30 feet away, you'll still have a problem, but as you get closer to the colonnade, it'll make more sense.
Bert, is there anything you'd like to add?
I mean, that's why we hire him.
Any other questions for the applicants? Dave?
This is, that's everybody's a critic, and your work is so beautifully presented, it's hard to find stuff, so I have to really nitpick. And mostly just curious, you've got these pilasters that are so nicely frame the door, but are strangely not quite symmetric to the wall beyond. I'm only curious why that's the case.
We were probably, what I like to say when we do historic restoration is we take what the building gives us. And we were working within the existing openings that were there, so we didn't have to replace it. And we weren't as concerned about pure symmetry as we were just working with what was there. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you guys didn't get the 3D image package that we had developed.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That would really
Just
answer-
awful.
But that would really help answer your question, because, and we can send it to you if you want to see it. You're standing about 20 feet away looking down the colonnade the way you'd actually approach it, and it gives you the idea of, oh, okay, there's something there. And you would see that the symmetry really isn't super significant.
Thank you.
You got it in green.
Oh, you didn't, they didn't turn it in because that was when we had it colored in green. Yeah, okay. It was such a nice drawing.
If you like green.
Thank you.
I have more of a comment than a question. I'm not sure I'd ever looked for the door into the 91st hole today when I went over there. It's not easy to find. And I can imagine, I'm not a golfer myself, but I can imagine if you've been out there for 18 holes in the summer, you really are very anxious to find that.
That hole.
Or if you come in what we in the golfing business called parking lot hot, you're running a little late for your tee time, that's when you really need to know where it is.
I've actually had that problem going in. It's over there. I ended up in it. Luckily, there was nothing else going on in there, but I opened the door and I go, this is not where I want to be.
You are not alone.
Happens a lot. We're trying to slowly but surely clean up a lot of the circulation issues in the old building, so.
I'm sure there are plenty.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
I'll just add, you guys had an impressive presentation the last time you were here with the Pro Shop expansion. I looked at.
Richard, your mic's off. Thank you.
With the Pro Shop expansion, I went back with this application, kind of looking at those two hand in hand, and I try to get out to Thistledew once every 2 or 3 weeks, and I think just those two together are just going to change this building dramatically. I think it's fantastic. I think this fits in so well with that Pro Shop. I think they're very expensive projects for a little bit of square footage, but I think it'll make the world of difference, so.
Good. I know the retailers in the Pro Shop are happy about it. They can't wait.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
Discussion among the commissioners or a motion?
All right, you want me to do this one? All right, I'll do this one. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission find the proposed major work at 1 Carolina Vista congruous with the Pinehurst Historical District and is consistent as we can find with the Historical District guidelines based on the testimony given, the materials submitted, and the findings of fact.
Second. Second. Any discussion? Proceed to a vote, starting with Mr. Herring.
Aye.
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 Unanimously. Another motion?
I move that the Historical Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed major work on 1 Carolina Vista.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, Mr. Herring?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Gentlemen, you have your certificate of appropriateness.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll see you again soon, so. Yeah, I
Next
don't know
month.
what-
Why are we voting individually? Oh,
I
okay.
I
Just
have no good
curious.
answer for that either.
Just curious.
No, why do we split those two motions?
No, but I'm wondering why we're doing it one by one.
Oh, you mean the roll call
Yeah.
count?
Makes it, in the event that we are not unanimous,
Oh, okay.
we don't know necessarily that we're going to.
Makes the record clean.
Yes, you would probably know. Oh. Hello.
All right, gentlemen, would you both stand and raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give nothing but the truth? You do. All right, and would you each state your name for the record and spell your last name?
Secchi, S-E-C-K-Y.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Jim Secchi, S-E-C-K-Y.
Christopher Grimm,
This public hearing is to consider a request within the Pinehurst Historic District of an exterior modification at 60 Shaw Road Southwest. The applicant is proposing to make a 15 by 33 addition to the front and side of the structure. The subject property can be further identified by Moore County PIN number 855-200-851-638. The property owner of the record are Christopher Grimm and Deborah Lee Nelson, and the applicant is Jim Secchi. This is the front elevation photo of our 60 Shaw Road. The primary structure at 60 Shaw Road is not listed within the 1996 Historic Landmark Survey. 60 Shaw Road was constructed in the late 20th century and is described as a long one-story frame ranch house with a broad gabled roof. Two of the adjacent properties are listed within the notification, are listed as contributed structure within the notification area. This request is before the commission because the applicant is proposing an addition, replacement of a front door, and removal of one mature tree at 60 Shaw Road. The below are considered major COA according to the Historic District Guidelines. New construction or additions, replacement of windows and doors that are not compatible with existing, and removal of trees visible from the street side of a residence that are 12 inches or greater in diameter breast height. The applicant has submitted a material package which includes photos of the existing structure, site plan, architectural renderings, landscape plan, and material samples. The applicant is requesting a 500 square foot addition, removal of landscaping and mature tree, and replacement of the front door that is not compatible with existing. The proposed addition will match existing materials and be flush with the front facade of the structure based on the submitted documentation. This is the notification properties, and told there were 7 properties notified, including the property requesting the modification. This is the notification map. In red is 60 Shaw, in yellow are the properties that were adjacently notified. Once again, you see the front elevation of the single-story home. This is the site plan submitted by Mr. Stecky. Highlighted in yellow is the square footage. It comes out to roughly just below 500 square feet, and then we have 34.8%, which is compliant with our standards for impervious coverage. And as you can see, it meets the setback requirement and looks or appears to be flush with the existing front facade of the home. This is a zoomed-in version. It got a little distorted, so it's not as good as I thought it was going to be, apparently. This is the proposed landscaping plan. As a part of the addition, a lot of the existing landscaping will be removed, and the applicant's proposing to come back in and reuse some of the existing landscaping by salvaging it. This was the submitted front elevation photo. And then this is the landscaping submitted photo here, showing that he's going to try to reclaim these bushes on the side. And then the large tree here where my cursor is the tree that is proposed to be removed. Staff went out and took a couple pictures just because the graininess of the photos, I just wanted a better photo for the record. Once again, the landscaped area here will be altered, and then the mature tree here on the right will be removed. These are the submitted elevations for the left one. Far left one is the front elevation. Middle one is what you'd see on the side, and then the north one is what you'd see on the rear side of the home. This is the zoomed-in version of what you'd see from the road. This is what you'd see on the side. We have these big windows that are similar to the existing windows, but much larger. And then here on the rear, we have this consistent same style pane windows on the rear. The applicant is proposing to replace the door exhibited in the left photo with the material sample that was provided with a 6-pane wood door, double door. This is the material list that was submitted by the applicant. They're doing mostly matching like for like where they can, and obviously not with the new door. At this time, staff would like to submit the following into the record: staff report, presentation, application, applicant's materials, photos, site plans, and findings of fact.
Without objection, the materials referred to by Mr. Hughes are admitted into the record. Commissioners, questions for Mr. Hughes?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, I got one too.
The application says there's no tree to be removed, brushes.
Correct, that was
Oh.
a mistake. There is no tree being removed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, apologies, I must have
No, it's all right.
inserted that myself. I will clean that up in the record of my staff report.
Okay, thank you.
So that big tree that you showed and said was to be
Stays,
removed
it
is not
stays.
being removed, is that correct? I have no further questions.
No further questions for Mr. Hughes. All right. The applicants, would you like to add anything?
Oh, just in general, the basic criteria from a design standpoint. Put an addition on the house that doesn't look like we did anything at all, that it was always intended to be that way. And pretty much thought we could do that.
So it extends the length of the house, though? Doesn't? Oh,
By 15 feet.
okay. Must take a long time to walk from one side of that house to the other, huh?
It does.
It-
Just as background, we moved from a 1,200 square foot apartment to a 3,000 square foot house.
This is a bit more
That
than
was,
that.
that was a big aha, first month or so. And again, maybe just for perspective, that end of the house has 2 bedrooms with closets between those 2 bedrooms. And we're just expanding the size of those 2 bedrooms.
Any other questions?
Again, more comment than question. Did you draw these?
Yes.
I haven't seen beautiful hand-drawn drawings like this in a long time. Really well done. Congratulations.
That from an architect.
Any other questions? Time for discussion then. Excuse me, I need to ask if there's anyone else present here who wishes to address this application. Hearing none, it's now time for the commission to deliberate or make a motion.
Looks great.
I think so, too.
Richard, your mic's off again.
I think you all heard that.
All right, someone would like to make a motion?
Did the last one, it's your turn.
My turn? Let's get to the right page. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission find the proposed major work at 60 Shore Road congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District and consistent with Historic District guidelines, based on the testimony given and the material submitted and findings of fact.
Since we're not doing the same material on the door, which means it's not consistent.
Technically, I agree.
That's what the guidelines say, just like David pointed out in the last one.
Yeah.
It's the same issue we have here. Maybe we need to think about changing some guidelines here, but this is not consistent because it's not the same material that the existing door is, and the guidelines say that it must be.
It should be.
That's true.
We had this issue, I think it was last month, or maybe 2 months ago, where the application was replacing windows that had been missized over the years, and then
Orange,
being
orange,
restored to the
orange, yeah.
correct size for the design of the house, and yet that was a violation of our guidelines.
Or instead of saying violation, maybe not.
The issue is
Not-
about our guidelines, not
Well, no,
about
I
your
no, I
submission.
understand, I'm just curious, because the doors that are there now are wood, we're replacing them with wood doors, so.
I don't understand, but the guidelines
Glass, the glass
specifically
and the
say.
frame and everything, I guess, is different, so.
So I'm allowed to put another ugly door in, I got it.
Well, that's what
That's not your
happens
issue.
when we have these.
Just bear with us. for a minute.
Yeah.
I got you.
Promise we'll give you another chance to speak if we say something that's really not
Gotcha.
right, but just bear with us for a moment.
I guess
Don't have a second on the motion yet.
I concur with your suggestion that.
That we
ought to
just go to
handle it the same way.
inconsistent and go from there.
Yeah.
But you want to
I
vote it
agree.
down, and then we can I'll
There's
remake
no-
it.
There's no second.
No second.
Okay.
So no motion.
Motion fails for want of a second. Would the movement like to make another try at it?
Sure. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission find the proposed major work at 60 Shore Road is not consistent with the Historic District guidelines insofar as the replacement of the front door, which is a different material and different color, nevertheless is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, material submitted, and findings of fact.
Second,
One tiny nitpick. It is the same material, but otherwise, I would say you're on the money.
The motion's been seconded, so there needs to be a vote.
All right, are we ready for a
Thank
vote?
God.
Any other discussion? Vote, Mr. Herring?
Aye.
Movement?
Aye.
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 All right, and now the next motion?
Back of the page.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed major work at 60 Shore Road.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to a vote.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. You have your
Thank
certificate
you.
of appropriateness.
Hey, we have to talk about drawings. drawing sometime. It's beautiful stuff. We get the small blue one. We get this one.
I gotta tell you, it's really.
We shouldn't hold this up, but yes. Can I keep this? Yeah. Oh, man. Nice to see you. Thank you, sir.
Before you sit down, would you raise your right hand, each of you, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give to the commission nothing but the truth? And would you both state your name for the record and spell your last name?
Christine Dandino, Dandeneau. Judy Davis, Davis.
Thank you.
Got a point to make, and that my point is I've had coffee with Christine a couple of times, and we talked about general stuff, and I know Judy from the village council, but I don't believe there's a problem with any form of
Conflict?
All right, very well. Thank you for that disclosure. Peter, would you like to present the case?
Purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request within the Pinehurst Historic District for multiple exterior modifications at 87 Short Road. The modifications include a 500 square foot addition, modification of an existing garage into an accessory dwelling, addition of a rear yard patio, addition of a rear yard fence, replacement of windows, replacement of shutters, removal of multiple trees, replacement of existing roof, and reconfiguration of a driveway. The property can be further identified in Moore County Tax Registry by Moore County PIN number 856-205-284-641. The property owner and applicant is Judy Davis, and the project professional is Christine Dandeneau of Dandeneau Architecture. These were submitted by the applicant as front elevations of the home. It has an interesting front elevation in that maybe it's more accurate to say that the formal side elevation might actually more be called the front elevation of the home. We have a porch that comes off that acts as more of a side porch than a front porch. The primary structure at 87 Shore Road is not listed within the 1996 National Historic Landmark Survey, and none of the adjacent properties within the public hearing notification are considered contributing structures. This request is before the commission because the applicant is proposing a 500 square foot addition, modification of existing garage into an accessory dwelling, placement of windows, placement of shutters, removal of multiple trees, and the below are considered major COA according to the Historic District guidelines. New construction, replacement of windows and doors that are not compatible with the existing windows and doors, removal of trees visible from the street side of a residence, and replacement of architectural details that changes the design or materials from the existing detail. The applicant has submitted a material package which includes photos, site plan, architectural renderings, and material samples. The proposed addition features lap siding painted heathered moss. The garage will be modified externally to accommodate new doorways and windows, and the garage will be refinished to match the addition. These are the other 7 notified properties, including the property in question. This is the notification map for the hearing today. 87 Short Road is shown in red, and then yellow is the notified properties that are adjacent. Once again, here are the front elevations again. And this is the submitted site plan showing the addition here in the rear of the property. A rear addition is consistent with the guidelines as it won't be visible or as visible from the street. We have rear yard fencing that is compliant. It's a black aluminum fencing. And then here is the existing garage. And then we have an existing accessory structure that's over the building envelope and close to lot lines, but it's considered an existing nonconformity. And they're just renovating that to basically clean it up as well. In your packet was a tree survey. If you didn't go to the online version of it, you weren't able to see what these comments said. So I went ahead and put that in my report today. Comment 1 is 1 dead pine to be removed, so that's marked by this bubble here. At least 1 tree to be removed to accommodate driveway turnaround is where bubble 2 is, and then bubble 3, 2 trees to be removed around the existing garage. These trees are not pines. I believe they are sweet gum trees. These are some photos I took as staff just to kind of show what they talk about when they were removing trees from that driveway reconfiguration. As you can see, she has a U-shaped driveway right now. And by reconfiguring as the proposed site plan indicates, where she gets rid of that U, some trees will be eliminated as a result. This is an additional photo just showing additional vantage point of those trees and the removal of them. This is the submitted elevation. Like I said, this is what we would consider the front more so, or sorry, this is the front elevation. Here on the left is the garage that's becoming an accessory dwelling. This is the front porch. They're adding this brick material, which is consistent because the existing home is already brick, so they're bringing in material that's already existing on the structure. They're also going to be repointing the bricks, so they're kind of cleaning it up as well. They're doing a new copper chimney cap. The existing one is there as a copper cap, so it's an in-kind replacement. They're doing new shutter doors with shutter dogs here as well, and those shutters are compliant with the guidelines as well. Here is the west elevation, which was more accurately shown maybe as the front elevation of the home. This is the front entry here. They did not indicate the building material hooks that's existing, but they are doing some new windows to match the windows of the addition, and they're doing a new front door as well. On the addition, they're doing shake siding. It's a fiber cement product that's been approved by the commission before and consistent with the guidelines. Here is the rear elevation of the structure, and this rear actually means the right side of the home, but once again, we're kind of talking about this as though that the side elevation is the front elevation of the home. And then here is the left elevation showing the rear of the property with the fencing and everything like that. And there's a pergola here that's shown here in the detail, which is better shown in the renderings that will follow. And then this is the garage and new guest house, and this would be looking at it as though you were walking into it from the rear yard and exiting out the fence towards the driveway. These are the renderings provided by the applicant. An existing single-family home in brick and the addition in shake. And then this is an existing garage that's being converted. The shake material is existing. They're going to refinish and repaint that material, add windows as appropriate to make it an accessory dwelling. This is a different view that shows a corner view of it, that shows the side porch or front elevation, and the side elevation that is the actual front entry to the home. In the photo you see as a pool, the applicant actually removed that from their request. There was debate about whether that was going to be a pool or a fireplace, but that's not up for consideration today. So just ignore that part of the material. But this is the rear yard showing the pergola from this vantage point and another pergola, as well as proposed on the accessory structure that's on the far right of the property. The applicant has provided photos of the existing accessory structures on the property as more detailed to show you what's going on there. This is the accessory structure that is not being converted into an accessory dwelling. And then this is the current garage that will be converted in an accessory dwelling. As you can see, the shake siding is current there, and new doorways and windows will be added to it. And it will be painted heather moss to match the proposed addition. And then finally, the material board that was submitted by the applicant has shown the front door lights, the secondary door lights. They're using an Anderson double white hung window, fiber cement siding for the addition, and heathered moss for the addition and accessory structures to be painted to match. Architectural asphalt roof shingles, shingles for both the addition and the existing primary home, and a light mahogany front door painted autumn wheat, and a black aluminum fencing, which is consistent with the Historic District guidelines. This is the material list that was submitted with the online application, what we just reviewed in the material sample board. At this time, staff would like to submit the following to the record: staff report, presentation, application, applicant's material, photos, site plans, and findings of fact.
Without objection, the materials referred to by Mr. Hughes are admitted into the record. Questions from Mr. Hughes? Hearing none, would the applicant like to add anything to what's been already said?
Yeah, I think he pretty much explained the whole thing, just that the mindset is that this addition the idea is that it's sort of an old sleeping porch that got, occupied. But it should fit in with the house. The windows are going to be replaced because they're in poor condition. And so I know you're curious about the windows I chose the double hung so that it kind of gives the house more of a shadow line than a casement window. And just to keep them all consistent, and so it kind of matches. We went with that all the way around. And then the front main entrance, that's existing. It's just covered up by an awning. So we're really not changing much in the original structure, except maybe adding a couple of brackets in the front porch and, you know, adding the bricks, so it kind of, yeah, there you go, there's the bricks to the columns in the front, but mainly keeping the existing structure as is, yeah, and doing the addition. So that's it.
I'm sorry, which trees are going to be removed? I wasn't clear. Just curious.
If you go to the site, they've been all labeled. Mainly, what's happening, yeah, if you look at that, there's that one tree on the left there. That's the main one in that group. And then there's several in the back because of the driveway. But what's going to happen here is, because we're getting rid of the U, it's going to give the owner Judy more time or space to do landscaping in front of the main entrance. So it'll actually provide more landscaping instead of more driveway. Yeah, so the back trees will be removed to add that driveway. And then there'll be one or two, I actually have a better photo if you want to look at it, that I took before I came here of that. No, but I assume you went to the site.
Just the one with the ribbon then? Is that what you're talking about,
Yeah.
Christie?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see that right there.
That's the only one?
No,
If
that's
you look closer, there's also two right here where my cursor are.
Okay.
closer to that shed.
And then
I
there's-
noticed in my site review that there were several more trees than 3 that were banded.
Yeah,
Yes,
We all noticed that.
yeah.
Because of the driveway. Yeah, so.
So are those all coming out?
I mean,
Well, here, can I pass this around to you guys? Because basically, the main trees that you'll see from the front are all staying, and just these few that are by the shed are going to be removed.
and really the number of them depends upon how we configure the drive.
If they're dead, they're dead. Yeah,
Well, the
but in the
ones-
winter, it's hard to tell.
Well, they're mostly pines. There's really 2, I think, live oaks in that group, and then some other, the ones by the garage will be definitely removed. They're volunteers that were
Driveway can come there.
essential.
So I was over there,
Mm-hmm.
all of
These
them
are
that
the
are
ones in the back?
banded that I saw today
Got it.
are the
Okay.
ones that
Thank
are
you.
being taken down, is that correct?
They're candidates. I mean, some of them were, the 2 by the garage are definites. The one dead one is a definite one.
So there's
The
only
the one coming in, I really meant to remove that, but
going to remain.
as I looked at it, I thought, we might need that for clearance, taking that
So
corner
there's a
in
few
there.
more than 3. That's
So it's a candidate. And then there are several back there by that gray shed. We just have to figure out how many we can keep.
Yeah, please.
Is that a road or a driveway? Right, the gravel there, and it goes
Well,
way,
well, there's 3 driveways in a row.
oh, okay.
Everything that's
So
banded over there
the
today
one
Yes.
is
that
being
looks
removed.
the most
Okay, I
prominent really
understand.
goes to the property behind. That's 85.
Okay.
And 83 short, 85, and 87 short driveways are all together. There's another driveway on the other side of it, closer to the mailbox.
Okay.
But I want to take that out.
Okay.
All right, other questions?
Yes, so I just missed that, Judy. How many approximately do you think you'll take down?
I'll take a minimum of 3
Minimum 3.
and maybe 4 to 5 more, depending upon the turn at the back of the property. But you have to just
I
figure
mean,
it out.
they're stuck right in the middle of the property. I mean, it doesn't, it doesn't leave you much.
Yeah, and then I think you have room for more attractive landscaping in there of camellias and other shrubs.
Any other questions, David?
A few. Could you speak to your roof?
Yes,
What are you going to do?
put up an architectural shingle roof.
Asphalt shingle?
Yeah, it's on the drawing, it's a weathered wood look.
What's on there now?
It's an asphalt as well, it's just, the whole roof will be replaced with a weathered wood. You can see it right there on the architectural asphalt roof shingle.
So asphalt to asphalt.
Yep.
Yes.
And I got to carry on with that, and if I can just sneak that in there. So all of the roofs on all of the buildings will be the same across the whole
Yes.
property?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that was my question.
You speak to the metal fence. Is it painted?
Black.
Black? Excellent. How about the new mortar and the brick? Same as existing?
Yes, for the only new brick is going to be at the columns on the front porch. So
Goal
yes,
is
it
to
would
match the existing?
Yeah, match.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And last, shutters. Wood?
Yes.
Existing are also wood?
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicants? Is there anyone present here who wishes to address this application?
I don't think there's many left here.
Hearing none.
Literally none.
I think we're ready for discussion.
Is it still going to be called Shady Pines, or I'm assuming you're renaming it?
Well, that's not a historical name.
Yeah.
The prior owners put that name there. And if I were to rename it, I would have the name Sally as part of it, because A.B. Sally is the person who built that house and a number of other houses there on Short Road. So, but it may have a name, but there's no historical name that it was ever given. And Shady Pines is not historical. I just couldn't pull that thing out.
Yeah, I saw that in the photos, yeah.
So you're going to take that, you're going to leave that or take that?
That'll come out, yeah.
Yes, sir, David.
Peter had something in his recommendations, which I think is dead on the money. Reading, this request does deviate from a number of guideline recommendations, we should say, standard recommendations, regarding retaining existing detail, and I think that will be critical to the phrasing of our motion. On the other side of that, I think it's a fabulous job of design, will be a real credit to the street.
Any other discussion? Is anyone prepared to make a motion? Has everybody made a motion?
No, I haven't. Yeah, but so you're leaving me with this one with all the, with all the proposed
Pick the
modifications
earlier
of
one.
Peter.
Hard one.
Go early.
It's an equal opportunity.
Well, Peter, did you have them enumerated? You say the request does deviate from a number.
I did not.
Okay.
Peter's report is part of the record, so you could refer to them.
Okay. So I guess we'll go with not consistent, but nevertheless congruous. I move that the Historic Preservation Commission find that proposed major work at 87 Short Road is not consistent with the Historic District guidelines for several reasons enumerated in the application. Nevertheless, is deemed congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District based on the testimony given, the material submitted, and the findings of fact for the following reasons given.
Second.
Any discussion? Take a vote. Aaron?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously? Now, would you like to
Yep.
make another motion?
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed major work at 87 Short Road.
Second? Discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. Mr. Herring?
Aye.
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 Congratulations, you have your
Thank you.
certificate of
Thank you very
appropriateness.
much.
See it all the narrative that you provided. That's really helpful for context too, so thank you.
Probably one of the hardest cases to visualize, just because of the way the existing house sits on the lot.
Right.
I drove by it, all of a sudden, it up
Yeah.
for me. It's a sideways
Yeah.
house.
But it's clear you're not going to be able to live there while this is happening. Okay. I guess you'll have a new neighbor, Richard.
Yeah, my mother-in-law is actually moving to the house across the street.
No way, really?
That's a busy road, a lot of action on Short Road.
Yeah.
The one.
The white?
Kenny Corner is the white one with the detached garage. It's the brick one with the columns. It's 110 short.
I didn't even see it for sale. Oh, oh, yeah, okay, nice.
All right, that concludes the public hearing. May I have a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular commission meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are now in the regular commission meeting.
Laughing.
If there anybody still here, I would tell them they are welcome to stay until the meeting, but they can't say anything, but I don't think I'll bother with that. Minor work, stamp approvals.
Real quick, there was a replacement sign for La Fame Chateau. Another new signs at a new store called Iconic Salon and Boutique. It's where the Purple Thistle used to be. A hot tub and concrete pad for 25 Barrett Road. Re-roof at Holly Inn. Exterior repaint within approved color palette for 165 Linden Road. And replaced brick column at 225 Beulah Hill Road. I don't know if you guys have been driving down Beulah Hill, but there was a knocked over column, driveway column. They're gonna be replacing that, like for like. I'm pretty sure it was longer. It was like a year, I feel like. So, it's been there for a while. Hot tubs can be approved by staff, and so they wanted a hot tub.
Wait, that's the place that asked for the pool?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, right. Oh,
Hey,
right.
pool and hot tub both.
so I did make them pay an extra $100, so that should be feeling good about that.
Is there any other business to come before this meeting? Hearing none. may
Well, can I
have a-
ask one question? Sorry, and then it'll be quick, but are we going to have a work session at some point? Because there's a few questions about the like,
We talked about that a couple of times.
I know. And also wondering if we can get the raw applications as soon as possible, because they're public, right? So is there a reason why we can't be viewing them? Because I like to read the application first anyway, the primary source.
Okay.
So is that possible?
I can talk to Darren about it, and let's see what he says about it. I know that quasi judicial, it's kind of a gray area how long you have to look at the application. And you should have it the same amount of time as the general public would. Like, the general public can walk in on February 5th and say, hey, what applications have been submitted? But they're not really public until we post them on Novus.
And someone can look at them at that point even?
Technically, they could. It's a public records request. They could look at my emails if they wanted to.
Okay.
Speaking of work sessions, we do have to finish updating our guidelines now standards. I think we made a lot of progress. I'm not sure we were through with that process.
We were not, I took it back to the drawing board and I've updated it with your guys' changes. It's just with, I think we did that in August, I believe. Then we had September, which was a lot of meetings because we had the special hearing. And then we had the holiday season, and with the holiday season, it was just hard to get to. But we can meet in February for it or March at your guys' discretion.
I've got well, hell, I'm retired. I've got an open calendar almost.
My only preference is that maybe we don't meet very close to the February meeting, just because it looks like it's going to be a busy /
really?
there's a big project coming that will be a lot of work.
Peter, do you have a draft of what you want to consider?
Yeah, there's some stuff that I need to take care of for 160D.
Why don't we share that with the
Okay.
commission before the meeting, and then we can get our thoughts together?
And then I also know Mr. Herring wants to make some adjustments, as well as Ann wants to make some adjustments, so. Shutters. No. I know that that's your, position, or one of your
Well, we could
positions.
wait till March probably, could we? Or is that too late?
But,
Okay. Why don't
you know, if you guys want to do like the first week in March, that's not very far away. We can,
Is anyone planning to be in Florida in March?
for spring training. So, Correct.
By statute, no, not after the first of the year.
But you guys are a advisory board. You actually don't change the guidelines. You recommend changes, and then council is the body that has the power to change them. Not saying they don't take your recommendations seriously. It's just because you guys vote to approve a change doesn't mean that the next layer will.
So my question then is, do we need to even address that issue, or are they going to address it for us?
We need to bring it forward to them, and it'd be nice if I had a recommendation from you guys saying I did a good job.
Okay. I think that might be something we could do right now, actually, just for
Do
the,
we want to give them stuff piecemeal, or doesn't it matter? Do they care?
It would be easier on staff if we brought 8 items together versus just one singular item, so that way,
well, you got a priority, you want to get the standards thing changed quicker. That was, if not, then yes, I would agree 100% with what you're saying.
They're going to want us to come before them to answer questions. We want to be prepared to do that about what we've proposed. I don't think they're going to ask about each instance in which we change guidelines.
yeah,
Standards, that's
for
what I
sure.
mean, so it's, all right, well, if they don't care, then, I mean, if the village doesn't care, we'll wait till March.
Why don't we do that, Peter? Maybe you could circulate an email and see if there are any.
I'll shoot it out tomorrow and let you guys see it. I think it's a total of like 14 changes. It's like paint colors aren't a must, but they are supposed to be within our color palette. It says must be in our color palette, but then it says should for shutters. Stuff like that that just needs to be cleaned up. A lot of the things that I've selected are just cleanup items. Some are grammar as well. But other than that, the big ticket items I have not touched.
Okay?
All right. Motion to adjourn, Eric?
Right. May I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.